For those born under the sign of Scorpio, there comes a time of not just omens, but powerful signals indicating the coming profound changes. They are waiting for a series of events that can fundamentally change the entire path of life. The 6 days in question are not arbitrary dates, they represent critical nodal points where the powerful energies of their ruling planets, Pluto and Mars, merge with the mysterious attributes of the 13th sign of the zodiac, known as the Serpentine. Everything that previously hindered a full existence is gradually receding, dissolving into the past. What long and reverently dreamed of, but that seemed unattainable, now begins to take shape of reality. The Age of Aquarius urges a deep inner awakening. It unlocks the previously locked doors, those that were held by the chains of fear, heavy guilt, all-consuming shame and burdensome expectations of others. Mystical Serpentine, like an ancient guardian, crushes the boundaries of the passing era of Pisces, to honor those who deserve it, to give them love, cleansed of all fear, financial well-being, which does not require humiliating compromises, and, most importantly, the absolute inner freedom that does not know the rest. There is no reason to fear, for it is not a question of loss, but of gaining complete control over one's own destiny. The long wait is coming to an end, and this momentous period is already beginning. And now, to fully realize the magnitude of the coming changes, it is necessary to consider all the details in order. The first significant date is June 13th. On this day, the first ruler of the sign, Mars in fiery Leo, is exactly square the unpredictable Uranus in earthy Taurus. This astrological configuration will be a true breakthrough point for those who have long pretended to have absolutely everything under their control. Deep down, however, emptiness reigned, and inner tension was reaching a critical point, almost to the point of a nervous breakdown. It was time to end this exhausting patience. The key issue at stake concerns the realm of love and personal relationships. This planetary configuration ruthlessly tears away all masks, revealing the true state of affairs. Those who are under the influence of this sign will be forced to either honestly admit to themselves who and what they really want to gain, or to continue aimlessly in a relationship devoid of spark, fire and real passion. Definitely, it will soon get bored, and the choice will become obvious. The influence of the Serpentine, manifested with exceptional determination, endows a new, very significant quality, a unique ability to accept genuine affection, freed from unnecessary dramatic experiences, humiliating self-doubt and agonizing doubts. For those whose relationships are already teetering on the brink of an inevitable breakup, an exceptional opportunity opens up, a chance that, though rare, is quite tangible and attainable. During June and July, especially on the critical dates of June 13th and 26th, if an individual shows restraint in speech, loosens excessive control over his or her partner and stops obsessively monitoring other people's displays of attention in social networks, that is, refuses destructive jealousy, he or she will find not a deceptive illusion, but a real, live and mutual affection. It will be a feeling devoid of virtual detachment, not tortured by efforts and not generated by fear of loneliness. The inherent quality of Leo entering a square aspect to Uranus provokes a kind of emotional upheaval or significant shaking. However, it is this upheaval that serves as the catalyst for revealing a deeper truth. It becomes apparent who is truly dear to the individual, who is genuinely afraid of losing him, and who is just an occasional, temporary companion on life's journey. Such discoveries are certainly not uncommon. As for the qualities characteristic of Scorpio, they endow a person with a unique ability to clearly discern hidden motives and secret circumstances. In particular, women born under the sign of Scorpio will be able to recognize with exceptional clarity those who resort to lies, who is engaged in manipulation, and those who sincerely want to stay close, regardless of any obstacles. And such situations, of course, happen. It is important not to give in to emotional breakdowns and do not provoke, figuratively speaking, the season finale in personal relationships. The current period is not favorable to demonstrative and hasty breakups. Genuine feelings will either get a second wind and return, or, on the contrary, leave the life of a person irrevocably. However, crucially, the individual will absolutely realize exactly who they are in a relationship with and what the true purpose of the relationship is. It is time to stop shifting the responsibility for their own actions to momentary emotions. If in previous periods a person had the habit of breaking significant relationships under the influence of sudden impulses of jealousy, then the current astrological aspects provide a unique opportunity to correct the mistakes made. However, this correction should take place without any theatrical pathos and unnecessary dramatization. All that is required is concrete, conscious action, a display of true maturity, and a deep inner honesty toward oneself. The powerful influence of the ruler, the planet Mars, categorically does not allow you to act according to familiar, outdated scenarios. A person faces a clear choice, either to achieve a completely new, deeper level of emotional intimacy, or to return to the previous state of emptiness and oppressive silence. The choice is undoubtedly up to him. On June 17, Mars moves into the sign of Virgo. For Scorpios, this marks a period when abstract reasoning must give way to concrete steps. It is not about air castles or vague intentions, but about strict accounting of debit and credit, as well as quite tangible sums of money, which have long deprived them of peace and sleep. For some representatives of this sign of the issue of money is particularly acute, literally getting up a rib. Activation of the fifth house indicates that those who will show his inherent qualities, natural strategic, powerful pressure and invisible, but strong grip, will be able to get out of the mire of financial difficulties with surprising speed, even faster than expected. The key role here is the influence of the serpentine, prompting to go beyond the usual way of thinking and acting. It gives the ability to realize that the accumulated obligations are not something transient, which can be postponed for later, but are a heavy anchor, inexorably pulling to the bottom. Priority will be given to resolving bank payments, unpaid loans, and overdue tax and rent arrears. Every matter that was put off with the excuse of "not now" now urges immediate action between June 17 and July 4. It is in this time period that the famous precision of Virgo, that is, all the inherent attributes of this sign, will fully manifest itself. This time will provide an opportunity to make the most complex calculations, to receive an unexpected and favorable offer, to carry out an effective restructuring of debts, to establish contact with a new financier or competent tax inspector, or to find a source of income that can compensate for the existing financial deficit. Representatives of the sign of Scorpio, as you know, are not inclined to direct requests, and this is understandable. Instead, they have a unique ability to act stealthily, taking steps in the shadows, while remaining invisible and inaudible to others. Their methods can be both subtly cunning and completely unorthodox. In the current period, this feature of theirs is manifested with unprecedented efficiency. The concept of financial independence ceases to be just a beautiful slogan, turning into a tangible reality. Those who are used to postpone decisions until the last moment, the astrological influence of Mars in Virgo will no longer allow to stay in passivity. The current configuration of the planets dictates the need to get things in order, otherwise there is a risk of complete destruction of the status quo, so that something completely new can be built on its ruins. There is no reason to fear the coming changes. There are key time periods for the successful passage of this stage, which must be focused on with special attention. From June 19 to June 23 is a favorable time to make accurate calculations, settle debts, negotiate salaries, make necessary applications and resolve contentious financial issues. However, from June 28 to July 30, you should be extremely cautious. During this period of time, the probability of involvement in other people's dubious schemes and seduction by promises of easy money increases significantly. Particular vigilance should be observed with respect to fraudsters, especially those who masterfully wield the word, but do nothing, or their actions are purely demonstrative in nature. Between July 7 and July 10, a unique opportunity opens up for those who are ready to radically change the source of their income. This is a chance to move from a hired job to your own commercial enterprise or to transform a temporary part-time job into a stable and permanent source of profit. The echoes of the Pisces era still hold some in their grip. The tendency to passively wait for miraculous changes or blind faith that everything will work itself out is an insidious trap. This is not what Scorpios were born to do. Their inherent traits are willpower, shrewd calculation, and unwavering inner fortitude. And now, in this special period, these qualities are manifested with unprecedented efficiency. Scorpions will either have to start living on their own, new terms, or someone else will certainly offer to impose their own, which will again lead to suffering and complaining about fate. An important astrological event that underscores this point is the sextile of the Sun in Cancer with Mars in Virgo on June 26. Those who had illusions about Scorpio's weakness, fatigue, or possible capitulation find themselves in a very awkward position. For it is at this point that their harsh, unyielding nature awakens. It is not hysterical and not with ostentatious drama, but with the utmost precision, determination and uncontested categorical. When Scorpios make a decision, no one dares to question it. When they rush forward, no one dares to block their path. The Sun's position in Cancer can cause internal strife, but only for those who still cling to outmoded patterns and the past. Scorpio in June is no longer someone who is immersed in doubts. On the contrary, they are someone who clearly defines their boundaries and firmly establishes their position. Mars in Virgo gives them that finely honed, precisely directed energy that they know how to use with surgical precision. This can be expressed in a dismissal, a radical change of environment, a complete revision of priorities or a decisive no to destructive relatives. Unfortunately, such situations are inevitable. Even the closest people can sometimes become unbearable. In such cases, Scorpios do not cut off ties under the influence of strong emotions, they resolutely cut them off, because it is a necessity. Alas, this happens more than once. Their determination sometimes causes shock to those around them, but they should remain indifferent to this reaction. This is the approach that bears fruit, or else they will certainly be taken advantage of. Scorpio women in this period activate their main tool of perception, intuition. She manifests unmistakable accuracy. Information received in dreams, unexpected coincidences, symbolic signs in reality, scraps of conversations and even random leaks of data, all this is folded for them into a single, coherent canvas of understanding. It becomes quite obvious who has shown infidelity, who is lying, and who seeks to use the situation in their own self-interest. In this case, there is no need for dramatic clarification of relations or loud confrontations. Only one shrewd glance or a few laconic phrases are enough for a person to realize what is happening and leave their space. Everything happens calmly and purposefully, with the same determination and finality that is characteristic of the serpentine, without unnecessary noise, but with absolute irrevocability. Energy flow of the Aquarius era does not tolerate betrayal and stabs in the back, especially when it comes to Scorpio. Those who do not realize this, inevitably face the inevitable retribution of karma. Scorpio men receive exceptionally powerful support from Uranus in Taurus. It is time to end your patience with oppressive leaders, snide co-workers, outright mockers, and those who only feign authority. The position of Uranus in Taurus acts like a powerful bulldozer. It steadily, albeit gradually, but with absolute certainty removes all obstacles standing in the way of their personal and professional growth. If they have been suppressing their true desires and aspirations in the professional sphere, they should now refuse to do what is contrary to their inner essence. Either a powerful internal explosion or a significant breakthrough in development awaits them. They are faced with a choice, to remain in the role of a victim of circumstances or to become a full-fledged master of their destiny. On July 7, Venus in Gemini trines Pluto in Aquarius, the second ruler of the zodiac. On this day begins a truly fundamental restart of life processes. It is strongly recommended to hold tightly to your positions and achievements. For those who have been going through a period of prolonged losing streaks, the final end of this difficult phase is at hand. Individuals who have successfully internalized and overcome the trials of June will be rewarded with truly amazing results in July. The optimistic attitude comes not in the form of empty motivational rhetoric, but as a deep, unshakable confidence rooted in real, tangible facts. They have survived in the face of adversity, stayed the course, and realized their true identity at this stage. Realizing one's own identity is an extremely significant achievement. Pluto, as their secondary ruler, amplifies all current processes many times over. If their vector of motion is upward, the rise will be rapid and impressive. However, if they continue to wallow in reflections of the past, they risk becoming permanently bogged down in it. The fourth house appears as an undeniable zone of good fortune. This is not just a hypothetical opportunity, but a tangible fortune that is headed for the hands of those who did not seek to run after it, but instead diligently prepared fertile ground for it. This period favors significant events, such as a change of residence, making major acquisitions, restoring long-lost family ties or receiving help from a completely unexpected source. For those who have long lacked support, it will now materialize, genuine and absolutely unconditional. The seventh house, on the other hand, marks the dawning of an era of truth. The masks that people have been wearing are coming off, and the imaginary values that seemed so important before are disappearing, revealing how much they have prevented them from living a fulfilling life. Those who have built their lives on the principles of, "this is the way it is, this is inconvenient," or, "it's not time yet," are beginning to lose a lot, for the age of Pisces, with its obsessive call to endure and save everyone, is finally burning out. It is noteworthy that Scorpios are among the first to be freed from this oppressive burden, which is explained by their unique position in front of the zodiac sign of the Serpentine. On July 28, Mars makes the transition into Libra. This event marks the end of a period of dramas and emotional plays. The first house is activated, bringing to the forefront the fundamental aspects of human existence, the soul, conscience, and personal choice. All this appears without any filters or reservations. Everything that man has so far been hesitant to recognize in himself now stands before him as an uncompromising ultimatum. Scorpios, while incapable of prolonged self-deception, have always been characterized by the ability to be patient. Now, however, this patience is giving a crack. Their soul urgently demands simple things: inner peace, clarity of thought and actions based on their own rules, not on other people's prescriptions. The Age of Aquarius requires a complete internal reset. Under the influence of Mars will come out all that they tried to hide, unresolved fears, imposed patterns of behavior and old mental wounds. This process is not meant to break them, but to cleanse them deeply. Scorpios have a unique capacity for deep inner transformation, and this key feature of their nature now requires the most conscious application. All that has been inherited from the long-past Pisces era must be unconditionally and consciously discarded. There are a number of deep-seated beliefs that Scorpios need to get rid of, not just for the sake of aesthetics or external perfection, but for the sake of their own survival and true happiness. The first of these complexes is, "I must save." They should give up this role. When they give of themselves without reserve, providing help and support, in return they often encounter callousness and the emergence of new demands. This is not a path to nobility, but to the continued depletion of their own resources and loss of personal integrity. The second complex, "I am not loved because I am inconvenient." This statement makes no sense whatsoever. They need to stop adjusting to other people's expectations. The nature of Scorpios does not involve a desire to please others, they are either respected or feared. Both of these states have considerable power, and it is up to them to determine which is closer to them. The third complex, "If I'm not in control, everything falls apart." Indeed, things can fall apart if they take on the burden of total solitary control. However, trust in others is not a manifestation of weakness, but a vital need, a guarantee of stability. The fourth complex, "Money is dirty, petty." The common misconception that happiness is not in money often serves as an excuse for those who are ready to be used. For those who seek true happiness, it is time for them to start earning openly and deservedly, while avoiding self-exhaustion and illusions. The fifth complex, called "I can do it all by myself," is a serious misconception. Sometimes successful overcoming of difficulties is possible only if there is an external support, because without it a person ceases to be a hero, turning into a self-destructive mechanism. Liberation from these deep-rooted complexes is not a matter of purely spiritual growth, it is rather an urgent need for survival in the coming new era. In particular, representatives of the sign of Scorpio, who will not go through an internal cleansing, risk continuing their lives in a state of chronic burnout, on a constant emotional swing and in a series of ongoing financial failures. Those who dare to make this profound transformation will feel as if a heavy armor has been removed from their shoulders, under which there has long been a lack of air. For a long time, the sun was in the pitiful and sacrificial era of Pisces, where weakness is often disguised as a virtue, and blind tolerance issued for the highest moral principle. During this period, astrology carefully accumulated and concealed the 13th sign, perceiving it as an inconvenient truth that can break the usual foundations. Now the situation is changing dramatically, and everything secret is coming to light. In November 2025, Jupiter will enter Serpenter. This is not just another astrological fantasy, but a fundamental shift that can explode the old system of coordinates. Serpentine displaces 30 contiguous days from the ecliptic, and from now on these days will belong not to ephemeral illusions, but to those who are ready for active action. The Age of Aquarius finally enters its full rights. There will be no place for blind faith, so-called rescue syndrome and endless, fruitless compromises. This new era awakens those who are able to look deep inside themselves and do not turn away, seeing their true self unadorned. New dates are opening up for them, November 23rd and November 29th. Yes, this is a relatively short period of time. However, one should refrain from using these dates immediately, for they are still only a foreshadowing of the fact that people are being prepared for a new astrological function. It is important to wait and observe, but most importantly, we should no longer follow outdated patterns of behavior. This message is not a simple motivational call to action. It is a stern warning to those who are weak in spirit, and at the same time it is a sure sign of strength for individuals who are willing to go all the way to its logical conclusion. The current Age of Aquarius is said to be in dire need of Scorpios. Without their active participation and unwavering determination, this era will not be able to move forward and gain the necessary momentum for its development. They are certainly wished good luck in this responsible endeavor.